On a cold January afternoon in 2009, a routine flight out of New York took off with 155 people on board. Nobody expected it to become one of the most talked about moments in aviation history. The plane had barely left the ground. It was still climbing. And then, in an instant, everything went silent. A flock of birds crossed the plane's path. Within seconds, both engines lost power. No thrust. No backup runway close enough to reach. Just a wide, cold river stretched out below the wings. What do you do when the manual doesn't cover this? The pilot picked up the radio. His voice did not shake. He calmly informed air traffic control that both engines were gone and that he needed an immediate plan. The controller scrambled to clear a runway for an emergency return, but the pilot had already done the math in his head, and the numbers did not work in the airport's favor. He made a decision that stunned the controller listening on the other end. He was not going to try for a runway at all. He was going to land the plane on the river. For a moment, there was only static, then a single focused reply, informing the ground of exactly what was about to happen. No panic, no wasted words, just the facts, delivered with a calm that felt almost impossible given the circumstances. Inside the cabin, the flight attendants moved through their well-rehearsed brace commands. Passengers grabbed armrests, some prayed, others simply stared out the window at the water rushing closer. Nobody on that plane knew whether they would walk away from what came next. The landing itself lasted only seconds, but those seconds would be studied for years. The pilot leveled the wings, kept the nose just high enough, and set the plane down on the surface of the river as gently as a plane can be set down on water. The fuselage skimmed, then slowed, then stopped. It did not break apart. It did not sink immediately. For a brief moment, it simply floated. Doors opened. Emergency slides inflated, doubling as rafts. Passengers stepped out onto the wings, onto the slides, into the freezing air, waiting for rescue. Nearby ferries changed course within minutes, racing toward the sinking aircraft before anyone officially called for help. Boats pulled people from the wings one by one, wrapping them in blankets against the cold. Every single person on that plane survived. In the days that followed, investigators combed through the wreckage and the recordings, trying to understand how a routine climb-out had turned into a water landing with 0 fatalities. They studied the radio exchange word for word, the split-second decisions, the way the crew worked together without hesitation. What they found was not luck. It was preparation meeting composure at the exact moment both were needed. The pilot became a reluctant public figure almost overnight, praised for staying level-headed when nearly anyone else might have frozen. He would later say, in his own words, that he had simply done the job he had trained for his entire career. He did not see himself as extraordinary. Everyone else did. Why does this story still get told more than 15 years later? Maybe because it is a rare example of a crisis where every decision made in seconds turned out to be the right one. Maybe because it reminds people that calm can be more powerful than panic, even when the stakes could not be higher. That afternoon over the river became a case study in composure, taught in training rooms and remembered by everyone who was there. In under 30 seconds, a routine flight had turned into a story that would outlive the headlines. A pilot picked up a radio and stayed calm when it mattered most. That single choice saved 155 lives.